Okay, we're live. Number one, we're live on. Do that first, and then I'll come back to Facebook, and then we'll get into the subject matter. Okay, this is Brother Johnny Jamil Salib Zamir coming to you live on Facebook Live as well as on our YouTube channel, The 19 Report. If you would like to see the visuals that I will be sharing with everyone, you can see the visuals on Facebook, on YouTube Live. I didn't have a chance to really put this together the way I wanted to. I wanted to report it last night, but it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I didn't do it. But God is pushing on my heart to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. First of all, I want to say that um, I deleted about 83 people from my Facebook page. It's almost like dead weight, really just people that aggravate me, really, and controversial people who only look for things to um, come down on you about. It's always one thing to the next. And then there are those people who are just simply not active enough. When you have a Facebook page or a YouTube page or any type of page, you have actual opportunity for free publicity to build your fan base, to build your customer base. And when that is not being done with the people that are in your circle, it's time to release some of the dead weight. So I didn't have a problem with deleting the people that I did delete. And I don't have a problem with deleting all the way down to where I may just be talking to myself, unfortunately. But if that's the case, then we'll have to do that. Uh, but because you put so much into to things, but now it's so saturated that the people who put their heart into things are really not recognized. It's like all of the great singers are having to go into other occupations because singing is being overwhelmed by auto tunes. So I want to go straight into subject matter today. How do we how do you fight what you can't see? And I use the title The Secret Church, but I'm not coming down on the church of those who follow Christ. The original Christians were willing to be fed to the lions, to be uh, murdered at the stake. They were willing to die for the knowledge that came about God, the knowledge of God, and to spread that knowledge, they were willing to die for it. But now we're at a stage in life where uh, everything has been watered down so much that you really don't have um, truth in its original form. It's all been watered down to a degree. So I want to talk about this very quickly, and I'm praying that it doesn't take too long. I wanted to talk about what happened on Christmas Day while we were all enjoying this, exciting day where at one time it was very exciting for me as a child, and it is a great time for family to get together. And if we want to use that time for family to get together, then that's great. But there is something else always going on when there is a moment of excitement, a moment of distraction, sports, some type of something going on. There's always something that is distracting the mind from something else going on behind the scenes. Now, I am not uh, bold enough. I am not strong enough spiritually, nor am I strong enough financially or backed by people who are willing to um, give their life for the truth. I'm backed by Almighty God, and that I believe, but I don't know how far I should go with certain things, so I don't go too far. With this particular case, I want to talk about several things. I want to talk about the outbreak of fights that went on in malls across the US. I want to talk about 50 or more people being shot in Chicago. I want to talk about something that President Barack Obama signed into office uh, on Christmas Day, a new legislation. And I want to talk about uh, fake media and mind control. And God willing, I want to do all of that in less than 30 minutes. First of all, late on Friday, with the U.S. population embracing the upcoming holidays and obvious of most news emerging from the administration, President Barack Obama quietly signed into law the 2017 law, which means this law is not under the name of President-elect Donald Trump. This has been signed into office by President Barack Obama. He signed into law National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, which authorizes $611 billion for the military in 2017. Now, this law has many different facets to it. My computer is locking up again as usual. And that's another part of being under. I mean, everything worked fine earlier, but it's not working fine right now. And I got all kind of sounds coming through my speakers and all kind of stuff, but that's okay. God is the greatest. We'll go as far as we can with what we have. Um, this law that has been signed into office, I was looking for a particular part, and I want to relate those things to what I'm saying. I wanted to find the actual name of the law. Be patient with me for a minute. This won't take long. Anyway, if you've seen the outbreak of, here we go, long before the fake news meme became a daily topic of extensive conversation on such discredited mainstream portals as CNN and WAPO, HR 5181, which is the law that was signed, would task the Secretary of State with coordinating the Secretary of Defense, the Director of National Intelligence, and the Broadcasting Board of Government to establish a Center for Information Analysis and Response, which will pinpoint sources of disinformation, analyze data, and in true dystopic manner, develop and disseminate fact-based narratives to counter effrontery propaganda. In short, long before fake news became a majority media topic, the US government was already planning its illegal backed crackdown on anything it would eventually label as fake news. Now, this is information coming from Taylor Durbin, and this is the paper is the Zero Hedge. So that's Taylor Durbin from the Zero Hedge paper, who's pointing out this new law that was signed, this new bill that was signed by President Barack Obama on Christmas Day, while we were doing other things. Laws were being written that would prove to be beneficial to us. $611 billion signed to the military, and also proved to be detrimental to us, because now there are legalities in place that says we can determine what is real news and what is fake news. So if I am reporting, if I'm live on Facebook and I'm showing pictures, I saw a video of a black lady who turned the video camera on. She walked away with her ass out and her breast out, and she painted herself white on camera, and no one flagged that as an offense. But if we begin to voice our opinion on government issues, on local issues, state issues, if this is determined as a fake news, or it doesn't have enough validation of what you're saying, or it is something that may disrupt the thinking of the people, then this can be cut off in the middle or scrambled, or you could be arrested eventually. These things may happen. So on yesterday, my wife and I are watching the news, and the news shows fights breaking out all over the US in malls. Now, I don't know if you know about flash mobs. Flash mobs, sometimes they'll go to a particular place and they'll start dancing or doing a dance routine, and you don't really know what's going on, but it just happens all simultaneously. That is a flash mob. It appears that the strategic way in which the fights broke out in malls all over the US, that they were like flash mobs, because the people who were recording, you could hear them saying, You could hear them saying, laughing, making jokes about it. And it was all captured on video by someone at some particular time. So all over the place, they're fighting, and people started saying they're shooting, and they just started all of this panic throughout the malls. Everyone that has been interviewed, most of them are laughing or they're not very upset about it. It's almost like it's staged. And then later on in that news broadcast, they talked about 50 people being murdered over the weekend or being shot over the weekend in Chicago. And then they traveled on to New Jersey, where crime rates were higher. But all of this pertained to Black people being savage. The fights looked savage. And then they came on with a report about a Caucasian woman who walked 27 miles to save her child in a car. And we were talking earlier in one of my broadcasts about the color black, the definition of black and white. And there was a lady on Urban News Network on Sirius XM. Now, this lady said, first of all, that anyone that puts their money into a service like Sirius XM, they're not poor, they're necessarily not rich, but they're middle-class people who care about what's going on in society. So the Urban News Network targets the middle class. This lady says, and I'm not going to say her name, this lady says that we should no longer be called black because she went into the Webster Dictionary under the definition of black, and the definition of black said some horrible things about the definition of the word black. Then she went into words about the definition of the word white. And everything about the word white said purity and all of these great things about the word white. And she said, based on the definition of the word black in the dictionary, she no longer wants to be called under the label of black. She said we should be called the global majority, not black. And the reason I believe, and this is the type of thing when I say the reason I believe, this is where this law can come into place and block my broadcast because I'm telling you what I believe. It's possible. Chinese people did not go under slavery, the brutality that we suffered from. No other race of people besides our Native American brothers and sisters went under the brutality that Black people went under in this country. And even they didn't go under the level of brutality that we did. In fact, some Indians had slaves as well. But there is a consensus that we want to erase the idea that there is racism in the world amongst a certain group of people. So they perpetuate interracial marriages. Who you want to marry, how you want to marry them is your business. They perpetuate the success of a few Black people. They push it out there, Oprah, Tyler Perry, and a few more. Look at the success of these people. But these are not only successful Black people, these are mainstream people who will not go against the status quo, because there are also wealthy and rich Black men and women who don't necessarily agree with everything that goes on in society. So we can't put them up to the front because they may say something to make them the masses of people think outside of the box. By putting these people on the news, it made us look very savage. It justified laws being put into place to curtail any rebellion against a savage people. So while we thinking that we are growing in terms of our status in society, we're actually being controlled. So other people in other countries come among us and say, look at those animals. They've been in this country all their lives and they haven't achieved anything. When it comes to people like Black people, If we're trying to succeed in this world, a strong black male has to capitulate and turn into a feministic type male. Hey, how you doing? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, we have to talk as if though we are not a threat. And our actions have to become those of someone who appears to not be a threat in order for us to be accepted in a world that we don't control. The same thing is happening with Islam. Islam has been attacked, is being attacked, as if though Islam is the only religion that has fanatics. This country was built on Christian values. Those Christian values says that it was not a sin to be a Christian and a slave owner at the same time. A slave owner that did not allow us to read, to learn to read, to learn to write. All we had was the programming of the slave master. Our bodies were used as sexual tools, as reproductive tools. But if we spoke out against that, we would be reprimanded, beaten, or murdered, made an example of. Nat Turner was made an example of. Nat Turner's body was chopped into pieces, burned, and scattered over states. Genitals cut off, everything. Just, we're going to make an example out of this Negro who thought that he had the right to come against us by God's permission and kill us. We're going to make an example of him. We're going to put the fear of God in the people using Nat Turner and those who followed him as an example. We're talking about a secret church. We're talking about angels, demons, and spiritual warfare. We're talking about fake media, and we're talking about mind control. And the reason I put all of those subjects together is because if you look back in biblical text, it says that the day came when the sons of God came unto the Lord, and Satan came along with him. And the only one that recognized Satan for Satan was God. So amongst all of the righteous, Satan walks among. And God says, whence cometh thou, Satan? Called him by name. Then they go into a conversation. Well, I came from going to and fro, back and forth in the earth, seeking for souls that I could devour. This is Satan in the midst of the righteous. But the righteous could not identify Satan because our actions have become so satanic that we, in essence, in ourselves, agree with everything that Satan was doing. We didn't agree with it verbally, but we agreed with it internally. Now we are at a stage where laws are being written into place. As I stated earlier, $611 billion was put into place for the military on Christmas Day. And the law that was written says that anything that is considered fake news can be blocked by the government. Only news that will be allowed to be broadcast before the people is what they desire to broadcast to the people. So black children fighting in malls all over the country. 50 shootings in Chicago, all designed to make us look like animals. We go in line with that animalistic presentation of ourselves because those who are trying to do things that are noble, that are good, do not have the fan base of those who do things that are negative. So you look at a person broadcasting on live on Facebook, they do something silly, immediately there are millions of hits. You look at a person who calls themselves a Christian, and they're preaching with power, and they're saying we should all unite, and they're talking on generalized subjects that doesn't help you in your daily life, millions of hits. And you're looking at people who take news broadcasts, put them on their feed, advertise their logo, and get millions of hits based on that, they are allowed to go through. But some of us put up a little musical montage before we come on based upon what we're talking about. After the algorithm go through the system, rather it's YouTube or Facebook Live or Instagram, after the algorithms are checked and words are matched up, all of a sudden your link is no good. Mainstream media has done us really no favors, with the exception of telling us the weather and sometimes local news, and even that is bombarded with maybes and ifs. I took the title Angels and Demons from a book by Dan Brown. It's also a movie. I think it came out in 2009 or 2002. With the exception of the longevity of the movie, the rhetoric in the movie, if you look at the underlying message of the movie, it's very powerful. This country is coming to a point of fascism. What fascism does is it controls your ability to speak, because there is only one way a person is allowed to speak. And the only way you and I will be allowed to speak is in agreement with what's going on. The church is the first place, the religious institutions, mosque, church, temples, where this will be tested. If you want this money, if you want to grow, you have to do things under a guideline and in accordance to the way we say, and we will back you with our finances. The early Christians said, no, we're going to stay with what we believe in God. And if you want to take our lives based on what we know to be the truth from God, then so be it. We go back to the source. The new Christian says, I don't want to die. I want to live forever, because I am reaping the rewards of this fake life, this false life that says, as long as I lie, as long as I hide truth, or as long as I lie and it sounds like I'm telling the truth, I'll be successful. The science of this world is very simple, complicated at the same time. If you learn how to play the game, you can win in this life. But our religion teaches us that we pray for the good of this life and for the hereafter. So Black people are being targeted. We're coming to a close. We're almost done. Black people are being targeted in more ways than one. The main way is to make us think racism no longer exists. If you have an idea, you can put it out there. This is the land of the free. If you have a business you want to make successful, sure, this is the land of the free. You can do that. But when you go to a bank for a loan and the interest rate is so high on the loan, what we need are grants. But at the same time, trying to get a grant, there are so many different loopholes you have to jump through. If the average person who has a business could get a grant for $100,000, then they could build that business within 3 to 4 years to where they no longer need to search out grants. They have income that they built with money that was granted to them to build that business. That's not happening for us. Loans for a home, loans for a car, loans for school, all of that putting us in financial debt. And then we have to depend upon our own people to help us and support us to build our business. And we're competing against big chains like Walmart and all of these places that are trying to sell everything. I remember one time I had to travel 2-3 counties over to get work done on my Schwinn, on my bike, because I used to love to ride. And before long, Walmart started selling Schwinns. And the company that I went to get repairs had to shut down. So small business cannot compete, and small Black business can't compete even more so, because dealing with your people, you're dealing with people who think if they buy something from you one time, they've supported you, they don't have to do it again. And if your shipping is high because you're doing this at home, they don't want to deal with you there. Big business can make shipping low. We're talking about fake media and mind control. We did not go off of that path. I'm talking about how this system makes it seem like all you have to do is try and you'll be successful. That is in God's world. God grants success to those who earn success. But there are different worlds that we live in. And this world that we are fascinated by and in awe by says that if you don't play our rules, we'll ostracize you. And laws are being written into place while we are sleeping, while we were celebrating this pagan holiday called Christmas, while we were looking at sports, a law was being signed into place that says if we deem this news feed fake, we can stop it. And if we want to send out fake news, it's legal, propaganda. But for people that don't know propaganda, for people that don't know foreign policy, you can see elected officials in your state seem to be angels. And most of them are demonic, because foreign policy tells the type of person that you're dealing with: killing, mass murder, manipulation, monetary control, system control. It's practiced in other countries based on what the powers that be in this country can put into law. So a new law is into place now, and that law says that we can control what goes over social media. And many have predicted that this day would come. And on the 19 report, we've said over and over again that this day would come. But it's not over there. Actually, what I would love to say, God has told me not to say, because I am alone in this thing, really, with the exception of God. And you don't test God. If you know you're not supposed to say it, don't say it. And I won't say it. And most of you know that I don't tell, because you tell me things and it'll never leave from me. I forgot it. That's just the bottom line. But Black people are being made to look like savages. This is why the election of President-elect Donald Trump was so important to those who feel like this country should be put back in the place that it was prior to all of these laws being set into place. So the cry of the racists are "Make America Great Again." And a young lady was really just put in a bad position because she had on a shirt that said, "America's never been great." And it has never been great to the masses of indigenous people. So those who saw the shirt, took offense to the shirt, wanted to kill her. Everybody's looking for an enemy, for a demon, for a satanic force that is the cause of their issues. This country enslaved Black people and Indians. Indians enslaved Black people too. But I don't know if it was to the level of brutality. I have not read a book that talks about it to the level of brutality that Caucasians have. Black people had servants. But I don't know if it's to the level of brutality that is about to come down on us. And there will be no public outcry because we have been convinced mentally that there is not a problem. So our minds, anything you want out of life, you can achieve. Look, President Barack Obama, he's a Black man, and his name is Barack Hussein Obama, and he's the president. Look at Oprah Winfrey. Look at Tyler Perry. Look at these mega churches. Look at the people who are successful using the systems of this world. So there is no more racism, according to media. And the killings and murders and killings of Black men and sabotage of Black men. There is a lady right now who is a forensic scientist who is actually going on trial for tampering with hundreds of thousands of DNA samples to make Black men guilty who weren't guilty. Certain states now say it's legal to sell marijuana. Shouldn't it be that in those states, those Black men who were arrested for marijuana sale time should be served and they should be allowed to leave prison? That is a real quagmire. Mind control. And I'm going to close. We did a commentary on mind control on the 19 Report on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, go to the 19 Report / Johnny Wilson or you can type the 19 report in your search engine and you will find it. We have high ranking right now. And I am not a conspiracy theorist, so I don't get into all of this conspiracy theory stuff. I like to deal in fact. The way we are set up to believe Islam is terrorism. There was a gentleman that posted up a clip of Louis Farrakhan on Facebook. Black guy. I like him. And a white guy commented on the video of Louis Farrakhan. I know the white guy. I like him too. He's very intelligent. He is a wordsmith. He is just very good with words and a very nice person. But he made a statement that bothered me. And I'm not concerned if you are a friend or not with me. If I have a problem with something that is said, I'm going to say something about it. And if you have a problem with something that I say, then grab the intelligence inside yourself and say something about it. Then we can have intelligent dialogue, agree to disagree, and keep on going. Or maybe I'll see the error in my way and say, you know what? I apologize. I see what you're saying. So he made a comment about Jesus, the minister, not being God, the 25th of December not being his birthday, and the white gentleman went through this long spill about how, you know, there's no facts in anything. So what he says that you believe how you want to believe. The black guy that posted up the video didn't really have a response. He never responded. So I said, okay, I'm going to respond. And I told him a few things and I pointed out a few other things. Then he comes back. I'm coming to a point. And he says, well, Muslim, under the term that you're talking about, is a military term. I said, wait a minute. So you're telling me that I told you that Christ was a Muslim, and Muslim is one who submits his will to do the will of God. But because I used the term Muslim, you're telling me that I am making Christ a militant? Well, he was a militant. He fought against satanic systems, hierarchies. But he didn't fight with his fist. He fought with the word from his father, God. You call him what you want, is what I told the guy. Allah, the Father, the Prince of Peace, El Shaddai, Elohim. God does not clash with himself. My name is Johnny. My name is Keith. My name is Jamil. My name is Salib. My name is Zamir. I'm Brother Johnny. I'm Baby Boy Smooth from my pop locking days. But if you called me that, I would know what you're talking about. If you said Baby Boy, I would know, because I was the baby boy. And every shirt that I ever had was Baby Boy names. If you say handsome, I'll take that. If you say ugly, maybe I am. But if you're directing it to me, then that I am that. Okay, I know you're talking to me. God does not clash with himself. There is 99 names that are attributes of God. God is the sustainer, the cherisher, but he is also the destroyer. That's why he destroys. And the Bible is set up in such a way, even though it has been tampered with, it is set up in such a way that it shows us God's different emotions, not emotions in terms of us, because he don't act like that. He's patient. He lets us work out the anger, and the action is the reaction is a result of our action. So any evil that inflicts us in any way is our fault. That's my point with not having the knowledge of the time and what is happening. That's my point with not saying, okay, Christmas is a pagan holiday. I won't take that. But I will take the time to spend with my family and build family bonds, sit around the table and talk about business, talk about what we're going to do in the future, where we're going to bury ourselves, financial insurance, all of these things, home insurance, all of these things we could be doing. But we watch sports, we watch foolishness, and we fall into this life of make-believe, fake media, mind control. So this guy talks about Islam and he says Muslims are aggressive. And he's a Christian. I said, wait a minute now. Everything that was done during physical slavery was done by people who said they were Christians. I said they did it in the name of God, and they used the book to say that we were under a Hamanic curse, that we were the seeds of Ham, and that we were justified being slaves because we were no good to God. Classified us as 3/5 of a human being on the level or below an animal, and treated us as such in the name of Christianity. I said, who can point a finger and say that one is more aggressive than the other? I said, check your dictionary. The definition of black is something bad. I said, the definition of white is pure. So the fake media, Webster Dictionary, says that anything black is bad. And it has our most intelligent people, as the scripture says, that Satan would be so crafty that if it were not for God's mercy, he would fool the very elect of God. And then I told you about the woman on the Urban News Network on Sirius XM, very intelligent woman. She is a wordsmith. Some of the words she uses, she's talking, I'm trying to find a word on my phone and Google. She's so good with it. She loves the dictionary and she's learned it. But she's a very intelligent woman, and she said she's never been poor. Her family has never been poor. So she don't know poverty, but she's a black woman. And now she is starting a crusade that says we should no longer be called black, because black, according to the definition in the dictionary, is bad. She wants us to be called the global majority. That erases all of our struggle. That erases slavery. That erases everything that defines who we are and how we got to this point. Fake media and mind control, and we are in this secret church, and the church is in the mind of each individual. The mosque is there, the temple is there, the synagogue is there, but we rely on outside sources to tell us what it is, and we believe it because we don't exercise our freedom to study. And I fear before long, when we decide to exercise our freedom to study, the material that will be available will be fake news, because the entire history of black people in this country has been erased. And now it is being culled. I want to use culled. I may be using that incorrectly, but I know to cull a thing means to control it. To cull the population means to kill off some, to control it. So I want to use that term. Yeah, I want to use that. So the more people we can get to believe that there is no racism, there is no problem, the less we have to control. Zbigniew Brzezinski said that at one time, Zbigniew Brzezinski said that at one time it was easier to control the minds of the people. Now that knowledge is available, it's much easier to kill. We are being set up to be killed. White people who want the country the way it was, you're being set up to be killed. There is no military style weapons that you have that can beat this military. White people, you want it the way it used to be, but that wasn't good for black people. We were enslaved. You want us to be under your foot. So we cried racism and fought for rights by law. Those laws were already in place for you. Now that those laws are being taken away, now you want to unite with us and say that we are fighting together. We're not. We're fighting for laws together. But until you tell the truth about what happened to us and help us get out of that mental condition, that mind control condition, if we did fight together to null certain laws, you're going to take advantage of us again, because you think in your sick white mind that you're supposed to be in control. Now, I talked to the gentleman and I said, you militarized Islam. because the media shows first the towers falling in New York. They blame it on Muslims. That's questionable. Maybe they had involvement, maybe they had none at all, but you have to study that for yourself. Bombings all over the country blamed on Muslims, suicide bombers who say we have nothing to lose, but you don't know foreign policy, so you don't know what they're going through. You don't know about the chemical warfare. You don't know about the mass murders. You don't know about the mass rape of Muslim women. You don't know about the mass rape of Muslim men. You don't know about the sanctions. You don't know about any of that because you don't study that. You just take based on face value the news that is presented to you, and you say we are militarized. I am a follower of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I don't know anything much about Shiite or Sunni. I have friends who are Sunni, and I have a very good friend. I won't call his name, but he teaches me Arabic and Hebrew. I never known him to blow up anything. He's the most peaceful person I ever known. Yes, we fight if we're fought against. Why shouldn't you? You have a right. And that is my respect for Caucasian people, that they will fight for their family. They will fight for their bloodline. But black people who have fallen in love with this world, you sacrifice your family for $1. So out of God's mercy, in the Bible, it says money is the root of all evil. Then it gives guidelines for why that is said. And I told a gentleman online, I said, that is not for white people. That is for black people. I said, because when we fall in love with this world and we master it and we begin to accumulate money, we begin to make excuses for the evils that are done. And when you begin to make excuses for evil, God can't help us because we are now lovers of what he hates. I hate what God hates. I hate the negative in myself. I hate the things that I like of this world in myself. You know how you look at porn sometimes, or look at a woman's behind sometimes. I never got caught up in the homosexual thing, but if that is your bag, that's your bag. I ain't got nothing to do with that. But I never got caught up into that. Get sometimes fascinated by things you know God would disapprove of. I hate what God hates because I want those things eliminated from my psyche. The brain develops first. And those things were put into us from slavery. Mama doing slavery, they put a bag over mama's head, they put a bag over her son's head, and they made them have sex and impregnated the mama because they wanted a strong stock. So we were committing incest. They made us to sleep with brothers and sisters. They buck broke black men by bending them over and penetrating their anus in order to, in front of all of the people who saw them as a big person, they broke us. Now they're saying, forget about all of that. That is the past. And they've indoctrinated ministers with money, finances, buildings who are teaching the flock who don't know better. Forget about all of that. That is the past. The only people that suffered were these Jews that Jesus came against, but they never suffered like we suffered and still suffer. Fake media, mind control, laws being put into place, angels and demons, spiritual warfare. This is where we are. Go to our website, the 19 Report. I'm going to stop talking because God is telling me to stop because there are things I want to say that I shouldn't say. But anyway, with the gentleman on Facebook, I told him that I would never forget what happened to my people. I thought he was a very Caucasian. I thought and still think he's a very intelligent person. And as a matter of fact, I think he adopted several black children. And he's looking to make sure that their life is filled with things that matter to them. But he's hiding something from them. And I told him that. And he'd better be careful about that. And being the gentleman that he is, he wrote apologizing if things came off a little wrong. But I told him, you don't have to apologize. But for someone who doesn't know what God has given me, what you just said will make their mind believe that you know what you're talking about when you really don't know it all. You get my point? The fake media and mind control and the law that was signed into office by President Barack Obama. It is, I'm trying to get to it. And if I can, I'll say it real quick. You know what they did? They locked the page. But I'm, hold on. It is HR 5181. And in the midst of that law, it talks about how it can determine what is fake news, what is real news, and what can be blocked. I did a commentary on cognitive dissonance and how a person can desire a thing, but someone can convince you that that's not what you want. That is powerful mind control. It's like an apple being in a tree, and you want that apple because you're hungry, but you've done everything in your power to get the apple and you couldn't get it. So you convince your mind, oh, probably wasn't meant for me to get it anyway. God probably saving me from indigestion or something. That is cognitive dissonance. Because you couldn't figure it out, you think it's not meant to be. And that's what happens to most Black people when they're trying to start a business. If they fail, they convince themselves that it wasn't meant to be, but they don't see all of the pitfalls that were put in their path through law to stop them from succeeding. So now they're saying Versace has code words for Black people who enter his stores and treats them in accordance to their skin color. Timberland boots already said years ago in '89 that he did not make his boots for Black people necessarily just to walk around in with the shoelaces loosened and flapping around. These shoes and stuff were designed because, see, when Black folks get their hand on something, the value drops. So what happens is the cheap material that is left over, we give that to them. So we make the Rolls Royce and the Maybach, but we give them the Chrysler 300 because it looks classy. That's the leftover material, right? But we charge them top dollar. Let me show you something. Do I have them? I just bought some new glasses, 2 new pairs. The sale was $69 for 2 pair of new glasses. Listen to this, and we're closing. This is how fake media and mind control works. And listen, I got the glasses. I put on the first pair. I spent money that is very hard to come by. And these aren't them. These are my old glasses. And then there's a spot in them, but I'm just accustomed to them. I'm not wearing the new ones. $69 for 2 pair of glasses. When I got there, oh, eye exam is free. When I got there, before I finished paying for my glasses, it was $285. The glasses came back. 1 pair, I can see fine. Has anti-glare transition lenses because I need that. These have that too, because I watch computers a lot. And I have a macular hole in my left eye. I have a black hole, macular hole in my I'm legally blind in my left eye. That's why it may look a little lazy. It's actually beginning to get a lot lazy. So I need that. I put on the other pair. I couldn't see a thing. I flipped them around the opposite way and I looked through them. I could see. So I called the company, said, look, you put the prescription in the wrong lens. First, the Black lady comes on and tells me we can't do nothing about that. Take it over to the people in your town and get them to fix it. My wife says, wait a minute. We just spent $285 on the glasses, and now you're going to tell us to take them someplace else and get them fixed, and we just got them? Oh, well, just wait a minute. This is how we are trained to treat each other, Black people. Making a point. The white guy comes on. He called today. Hi, how are you? Oh, so pleasant. And yes, of course. Well, what it appears to be is that you're using the glasses incorrectly. Now, he's expecting me to say, okay, yes, sir, I'll try to use them better. He don't know who he's talking to. I said, explain to me what you mean by using glasses incorrectly. I put them on, I looked through them. What are you talking about? Explain that to me. Hold on a minute. He puts me on hold. He gets back on. Okay, I see the problem. You didn't want reading glasses. You wanted the prescription glass. Wait a minute. I paid you for 2 pair of prescription glasses. Why the hell would you give me reading glasses? Now, do I have to? You're going to compensate me for coming back up there. Nope, you don't have to come back. We're going to put them in the mail. We're going to send you the new pair. I said, now, what do you want me to do with the other pair? Do you want me to send them back to you? Oh, no, you keep those. In other words, I paid too much money for something they knew I was paying too much for. Fake media. And when we tell you something, don't you buck against us, because if we tell you that you can't see, you better not be able to see. This is where we are. I am done. But they put those black flash mobs on the news, almost 10 different malls, fights breaking out. People are laughing about it. Someone says they're shooting. Then the people in the riot gear comes out. Listen to what I'm saying. Testing out things. Chicago, 50 shot over the weekend. Niggas rapping now. See, I hate that term, but that's what we call ourselves. Everything we rap about, not so good for us. Fake media, mind control, the secret church. I just don't want you to get disappointed. We have such high hopes for the future. And everything that I talk about is for the young people. We have such high hopes for the future. But there are pitfalls set into place. And the biggest pitfall is trials that God set forth and allows Satan to implement to test your and my faith in what we say we believe. So when I see young people starting out happy, bright-eyed for the future, I so want to tell them, be careful. Because when Satan comes in, he comes in to divide. He did it with the metaphorical Adam and Eve in the Bible, yin and the yang. He separated them. And when a person starts to see you succeed and they see your woman with you, they're going to do what Satan did. They're going to come after your woman. It happened in my first marriage. Before long, my ex-wife was against me. My children were against me because I was not talking worldly stuff, and they wanted to be a part of the world. And I wasn't going to stop them. So what has been signed into office is very dangerous, because now what is perpetuated to you, what you see through your TV screens, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad told him that before long, Satan would be in every household, and he would be broadcasting through that thing called a television. So young people, I got some stuff from God to tell you, and I want to tell it, but I want to figure out a way to start public speaking more than on internet, because most people don't have the internet, and if they do, they don't know how to use it. I am so busy most of the time, I don't get to network like I would like to. And a lot of people, by God's permission, use my service, but they never include me in anything, because they think I am like the Caucasian gentlemen think that because I speak against what I don't agree with, I am militant, I am trouble. And I have never mistreated a person that I know of intentionally in my life. I'm 47. I had 5 fights, and neither one of them did I ever wanted to fight. I lost one because I was fighting someone I considered a friend. Thank you for tuning into this. I don't want to go any further because there's so many things I want to say. Thank you very much. Thank those of you on Facebook who were listening. Listen, if you like what you heard, please share the information. And if you share it, and if you link up with us, we'll link up with you. No discrimination in class or color, just truth. That's all. Thank you again for tuning in. Brother Johnny, Group 19 Promotions, The 19 Report, Jamil Salib Zamir. Thanks.